Go to your kitchen right now and pick up a Red Bull can. Look at what it says. Read it carefully, word by word. Most people who have drunk 10,000 cans have never actually read what is written on it. Every business channel covered the marketing, the stunts, the Formula 1, the wing slogan, none of them read the can. Pick up a Red Bull can right now and read what it actually says. It does not say it gives you energy. It says it stimulates mind and body. That one word stimulates is the most profitable legal loophole in the history of the beverage industry. Because Red Bull is not an energy drink company, it is a media empire that uses a drink to fund itself. Red Bull Media House produces more original content per year than some Hollywood studios, and the drink, the thing you think is the product, is actually the funding mechanism. This is the story of how a $500 investment in a Thai energy tonic became a $20 billion global media machine. Here is what the comeback story always glosses over. Red Bull was not invented in Austria. In 1982, a 40-year-old Austrian businessman named Dietrich Mateschitz landed in Bangkok exhausted from jet lag. He tried a local Thai drink called Krating Dang, which roughly translates to Red Bull in English. Within minutes, his jet lag was gone. But Mateschitz was not just experiencing a drink, he was seeing a business model. He noticed that Thai factory workers, truck drivers, and students all used Krating Dang to stay awake and focused. He approached Kelio Yovidya, the Thai businessman who owned the drink, with a proposal. Each man would invest $500,000 and own 49% of the new company. The remaining 2% went to Kelio's son, giving the Thai family effective control. Mateschitz spent 3 years modifying the formula for European taste preferences, less sweet, carbonated, in a slim can. Every distributor he approached in Europe turned him down. Market researchers told him the drink would fail. The taste was wrong, the price was too high. The market did not exist. In 1987, Red Bull launched in Austria anyway and created an entirely new product category that had never existed before. Most companies spend money on advertising to sell their product. Red Bull looked at the model and decided it was fundamentally backwards. Instead of paying to appear near content, they decided to become the content. In 2007, Red Bull launched Red Bull Media House, their own fully independent media production company. It produces films, documentaries, television shows, digital series, and a print magazine distributed in 170 countries. Red Bull magazine, called the Red Bulletin, has a print circulation of 5 million copies per month. Red Bull TV broadcasts original programming to over 2 billion devices worldwide. Their YouTube channel has accumulated over 14 million subscribers and 12 billion views. They produce the content, they own the content, they distribute the content. The drink pays for all of it. Every extreme sports event Red Bull organizes is not a marketing expense, it is a content production shoot. The athletes are not brand ambassadors, they are talent on a media company's roster. The races, the jumps, the dives, all of it is raw material for a content machine that runs 24 hours a day. Red Bull did not build a marketing department, they built a media company and attached a drink to it. Let us actually look at what Red Bull owns, because the list is genuinely difficult to believe. Red Bull Racing, one of the most successful Formula 1 teams in history, is owned by a drinks company. They also own a second Formula 1 team currently operating as Racing Bulls. Red Bull owns football clubs in New York. They own a hockey team, an esports organization, and a cliff diving World Series. In 2012, Felix Baumgartner jumped from the edge of space, 128,000 feet, and Red Bull filmed every second of it. 8 million people watched the live stream simultaneously. Red Bull spent approximately $50 million on the Stratos project. Traditionally, advertising equivalents for that level of global attention would have cost over $500 million. Red Bull did not buy advertising space. They bought a world record and the world covered it for free. And sitting underneath all of it, funding every jump, every race, is a slim silver and a blue can. Now let us talk about what is actually inside a Red Bull can, because this is where it gets interesting. Caffeine, taurine, B group vitamins, sugar, water, that is essentially the complete ingredient list. The production cost of a single 250 milliliter can of Red Bull is estimated at approximately 9 cents. The retail price in the United States is approximately $3.50. That is a markup of approximately 3,800%. Red Bull sells over 12 billion cans every single year. That is annual revenue of over $42 billion at retail. Red Bull GmbH itself reported revenue of over $10 billion in 2025. That makes Red Bull one of the most financially concentrated major companies on earth. And that concentration is not a weakness, it is the entire point. One product, maximum margin, every cent of profit reinvested into content that makes the product more desirable. Here is the question nobody asks about Red Bull. Why does a student buy a $3.50 can of sugar water to study? The honest answer is not energy, it is identity. When you hold a Red Bull, you are not just holding a drink, you are performing a version of yourself. Someone who is driven, ambitious, willing to push limits. That is the identity the can signals to everyone watching. Red Bull engineered that identity signal through 2 decades of content showing the most extraordinary humans on earth doing the most extraordinary things. Every space jump, every cliff dive, every Formula 1 victory, every film, all of it was identity construction. Behavioral economists call this aspirational consumption. Red Bull is the single most successful example of aspirational consumption in the history of the beverage industry because they never sold the drink, they sold the person you wanted to become when you picked it up. Which is why Red Bull will spend more on content this year than most beverage companies spend on ingredients because their actual product is not the caffeine in the can. Their actual product is the feeling of being someone who drinks Red Bull. Here is what 40 years of selling identity instead of ingredients actually produces. Red Bull generates over $10 billion in annual revenue from a single product in 175 countries. They command 43% of the entire global energy drink market. The brand itself, separate from the product, is valued at over $20 billion. Red Bull Racing has won 6 Constructors' World Championships in Formula 1. Their sponsored athletes have broken 140 world records across 30 different sports. Red Bull Media House content has been downloaded or streamed over 9 billion times. The Matech's $500,000 investment in 1984 became a personal fortune, estimated at $27 billion before his death in 2022. The company Kelio Yovidya's family controls remain privately held. They have never needed to go public. In 2024, Red Bull sold a record 12.1 billion cans, the highest single-year figure in the company's history. Red Bull now employs over 15,000 people globally, all of it built on 9 cents of ingredients, a $3.50 can. Every business school on earth teaches Red Bull as a marketing case study. They are teaching the wrong lesson. Red Bull is not a marketing story. It is a business model story. The lesson is not do great marketing. The lesson is identify what business you are actually in, because it is probably not the business you think. Red Bull thought they were in the beverage business. They discovered they were in the attention business. Once they understood that, every decision became clear. Why own sports teams? Because attention assets compound in value over time. Why produce films and documentaries? Because owned content never stops working. Why sponsor athletes? Because human beings are the most compelling content format ever created. Ask yourself, what business are you actually in? Empire Vault exists to find the answer to that question. For the companies that shaped the world every single week. Subscribe now and tell me below which company do you think is secretly in a completely different business than the one on its label.